Namaskar and welcome to this exciting episode of Sattology Debunking Mythology. Sat means truth, Logos means a study or science. Sattology means a study or science of truth. Opposite of that is mythology, which means a study or science of fake lie, imagination, or a lie, academic lie. So the mythology word was used against the native cultures all over the world. Somehow the word has started to mean ancient history, that is mythology. But actually what they want to say is that when they call something as mythology, they want to say it's so old that it cannot be proved. It's a folklore. It is no real. Now I have proved in my books Ramayana and Mahabharata are real. I put the modern maps and technologies to prove that the Ramayana and Mahabharata did happen, and it did happen, and then there are proofs of that. Now the Sattology, on the other hand, so mythology word was used for Vedic scriptures, used for Ramayana, Mahabharata, mostly for those which are more advanced than the Western world. Now the history has proved the Aryan invasion theory has been debunked, which is still being taught in the American universities. That is shocking to me, which has been conclusively debunked. Darwin's theory is still a theory. I do not think so that it has any scientific backing to that, even though many university departments run on that. But I can go on, but I have a very, very special guest. I want to welcome. She's a columnist, she's an author, and she's practicing what she teaches. She lives in a beautiful Indian city of Dehradun. And so without delay, let us welcome Sri Maria Wirth.
Namaste. Thank you, Aditya Ji, and good morning to America. Very early morning.
Thank you, Maria. So you wrote a beautiful article in Op India, and you just explained about the mindsets and why things happen. So you have unique, very, very unique perspective. Now, when we live in the US, we know that whenever somebody from the church meets a Hindu or any other native, including Native American, Native Mexican, Native South American, they will be very friendly. They'll take them out for a lunch, but the ultimate goal is to penetrate them and to convert them to their faith. So this is the mindset they have everywhere. What do you have to say on this mindset? And that's what we're going to focus today.
Well, Aditya, I find it so difficult that most Hindus, some do, still don't understand. Even we keep saying it since so long. For example, when people are surprised that Mother Teresa was converting, of course she would convert. If she wouldn't convert, then she would not be a good Christian, because she believes that Hindus go to hell eternally, not only for a little while, but eternally after one life, if they don't convert to Christianity. So naturally, she would convert. But I don't understand why Hindus do not flex this issue that Christianity and Islam claim that they alone are true, but they don't have they have no proof, no evidence, except the word of their founder. And Aditya, I can't see you. It is very difficult to speak. Can I see you? Or you have to? So I don't understand why Hindus are always accused as divisive forces. For example, now recently, there were 183 students and professors of IIM of Ahmedabad and Bangalore. They have written a letter to Prime Minister that he should stop the divisive forces and stop the hate-filled voices, somehow, they wrote to him. So first when I thought, of course I knew somehow better, but I thought, oh, wow, that is nice. No? They asked finally, because there were so many hate-filled voices from during CAA protests or from the Christian community, because they openly say that Hindus are devil worshippers. They openly call Hindu gods devils. And I know I was in a Christian ashram in South India, in Shantivanam, where Pete Griffiths was the head of the ashram. And I met a girl. She was Christian, and her mother-in-law was Hindu. And she already there was a big problem in the house. And this Pete Griffith, he tried to kind of inculturate. Now it is very much, he would do arti, he would do like Hindus do. But she was so shocked that she would not even go to the chapel. And also, this inculturation is not genuine. I had a talk with Pete Griffiths, and he basically said, now he's no more, that we cannot convince Hindus if we walk around with shoes and our black or brown habit. So he was wearing orange like a sadhu. He was wearing chapels or barefoot, and he would sit on the floor to eat. So basically, to fool Hindus, thinking it's not much difference. But the difference is very much there in the sense that when I was a child, I knew very early that we were Catholics, we are right, and the Protestants are wrong. At that time, I did not know about Hindus, but our neighbor was Protestant, and I was not allowed, we were not allowed, Catholics were not allowed to even pray with the Protestants. Now, this changed in 1965 during the Second Vatican Council. Then they kind of reconciled with Protestants, and we could pray together. It was not a terrible sin if you go to the church even. But Hindus, of course, are still out. They are still in the category that they have to convert to be saved. And I don't understand why Hindus do not object to this. Now, you cannot expect anybody else to take up this case because Christians and Muslims both claim it, and they get so much support from the leftist media. There's enormous vilification. Sorry, you want to say something?
No, that's a fact, because most of the Hindus do not understand that they are always the target. The reason that, and you don't have to feel victimized about it. Now, Bhagavad-Gita, in the 18th chapter, Krishna says, those who tell about me to others are most dear to me and more dearer than anyone else that can be. He says it to, Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita. Now, Bhagavad-Gita, encourages Hindus to spread the message of Bhagavad-Gita. Krishna himself is saying. But somehow, Hindus have called it as a conversion. Now, within our own life also, we leave bad habits, we accept good habits, and that is considered progress. So, if somebody is on the path of adharma, killing cows, or you look at all the Islamic countries, so much violence is there, leaves that and adopts the peaceful Sanatana Dharma way of life, that is not called conversion. That's called improvement. So the word conversion can be used for material things, but improvement is for the human beings. So simple logic like that can solve this problem. But most of the Hindus get into the smartha tendencies. Smartha means like a fixed tendencies. Sanatana Dharma is all about flexibility. Desh, Kal, Patra. Like some people tell me, or South Americans, or somewhere in Chinese culture also. And I may be wrong, so don't quote me on the show. But what I'm trying to say, some people cannot pronounce Ra properly. So they may say Lama instead of Rama. But the Vishnu says, I accept their feelings. If they can't pronounce, I accept what heart they have said with. Bhavagrahi, Saragrahi. So we don't have to get fixed up. So I think that's a major problem, that we have been told that Hindus do not preach, and that's what they are maintaining. We are telling, but Krishna is saying Bhagavad Gita, watch, if you want to become dear to Krishna, just spread the message of Gita. That's what Gita says. So I think the The colonization propaganda is what makes Hindus become weak. Like, don't keep Mahabharata at home, it creates fights in the family. Don't keep Ramayana at home because it creates fight, especially the part where Sri Ram kills Ravan. So all these parts are there. Please continue. Just to Mariaji, one small
Mhm.
thing is,
Yeah.
when my screen goes this, then we have the best
Mhm.
quality recording. That's why we do it.
Okay,
Okay,
okay. The audio is better then.
audio is better, so that's why we have to do it.
Oh,
And you are fully on the
because I
screen at that time. Okay,
oh terrible.
okay. All right. Please continue. Please say.
Yeah, I wanted to say that like conversion, when it is about Hindu Christians and Muslims in India coming back to Hinduism, it is basically deconversion, because conversion, it means somebody has to come and tell you something. You cannot find it out by yourself. Like, you can never become a Christian if you live on a little island and nobody comes and tells you about Christ, about the Bible. Or you cannot become Muslim because nobody tells you about that somebody lived there 1400 years ago. But when you go deep inside, you basically are a Hindu. You can find out that maybe I am connected with everything. You just this questioning, and Atma is within, and the help is coming, and truth is present. Truth is that what is truly is, and it is here now. And in Christianity and Islam, it is about belief. A friend sent me just yesterday the prayer book of her grandmother. It was published in 1931. Oh, it was still so. Now it's better, at least in the West. It was so much. I believe you. I am a sinner, and I am not worthy of you. And I trust you. Trust you is okay, but I believe every word of you. And constantly this, I believe in you, and you will save me. And this is indoctrinated from childhood on, and then it's very difficult to get away also from this. This is the truth. This, I have heard it from childhood onwards. It must be the truth. But there's no no. It doesn't make sense that the great creator or Bhagwan, he said only to one person what everybody, every human being should believe. And then a few hundred years later, he changes his mind basically, or it is another God. Muslims claim, basically, they would not say that the Christian God is one with a Muslim God. So these two religions, religare means from Latin, it means to bind, and it means to bind to a doctrine. And this is basically doing harm to a human mind, or it is, how to say it, it does violence to a human mind. If I have to believe blindly something which I can never know, then I, yeah, I'm not free anymore. I am fixed to this, and I believe it only because I am told if I don't believe this, then after this birth, after this life, I will go to hell. And this is another point. What Hindus cannot usually understand, because, of course, normal human being cannot understand this, that the great God would punish us after one life eternally in hellfire. And when I was a child, there were these pictures also of hell, really terrible pictures, no? And the devil, and he comes with. So when you see this, it is very frightening. And those religions, they work with fear. It is basically, I felt sometimes it was 2000 years ago. It was the first attempt, maybe, excuse me, to to control humanity, because they claim they have to go out and make the whole world believe in Christ. And a little later, Muslims make the same claim everybody has to believe in what Prophet Muhammad said. So when you have people, when you frighten them into this, then you have control over the people. So I remember when I was a child, I was believing everything, and I was very frightened of hell. And I think Muslims also are frightened of hell. And I remember this London Bridge attacker who was a convert. He was a Christian earlier, and who was a criminal, who was in prison. And in prison, he met somebody who told him about Islam. And he told him that if you kill kafirs, you will go to paradise. So it seems, I read an article at that time in The Guardian that he told his former employer, before he did this, he said, soon I will make up for my crimes. So he may have really believed it. And I feel religious freedom means I am free to worship truth, my God, who I try to find out what is the truth. I believe, I think it is very natural for human beings. I don't know now in America, and I don't know with modern, I was, when I was studying, I was also almost in danger to become an atheist. But when you think deeply and you look at the world, you must come to the conclusion there is some great intelligence and great power behind all this. It's not possible that it has happened by chance. And I feel it makes most sense what Hindu Dharma says, that all this is alive. It's consciousness. It knows. It is one. And this is the essence in us.
No, you made a very good opening remark, and it virtually boils down to belief versus experience. Now, I may believe that the honey is sweet, but unless I taste it, I won't have the faith in it. And yoga, and which is a very popular topic amongst all our students as well as our communities, that yoga is virtually 65 million Americans practice it, 65 million. And when they experience really yoga, because most of the yoga studios, after 15 or 20 sessions or 1 or 2 years, people want to know more about yoga, and they naturally turn towards adhyatma and sadhana. And every yoga teacher I know, practically, they turn to Bhagavad-Gita, because the god of yoga is Yogeshwar, Krishna. Now, and a very good example is my very good friend Zeb Homison, who has come on the show many times, that he is now teaching kirtans, and he's a, what do you call it, based out of Pittsburgh. And I will tell him that I quoted him on this show today, and with due permission of his, I know he's a good friend, and I'll take his permission. And he is creating a revolution in the mind as well as in the physical yoga practice. And practically the most flexible body in USA, you can name him. He was an Olympian, you can say Olympian standard yogi in terms of asana. So a belief versus experience, that's it boils down to. Why should I believe in something which I cannot experience? And you correctly said that Vishnu comes in many, many forms, speaks to Markandeya, Rishi, comes to, meets in Markandeya, Pulastya, Angira, Agastya, so many great rishis, Vedvyas, Valmiki, Bharadwaj Muni, so many, Shadbringa, Sutikshana, so many great rishis have met Bhagwan. This is itself a proof. Now, Arjun says to Krishna, he says that it's not just you are telling me, but Asita, Devala, Vyasa, so many other sages have also told me. So it's not just one man show. It's like the experience of many, many people. Mirabai was a great example in the recent history. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was another example. Ramanujacharya, Sankaracharya, great sages. And even today, such people are there. So ultimately boils down to, why should I believe in something which I cannot experience? or cannot logically put my mind to. What do you have to say on that?
Actually, I find Christianity, they even want to prevent us to experience, because there were certain mystics, for example, Meister Eckhart, I think 700 years ago, quite, or maybe 1,000 years ago. And he speaks and wrote like Advaita, as if, yeah, he had experienced the oneness, the oneness of everything. And he was excommunicated by the church. And he was, as far as I know, in 20 years ago at least, he was not yet rehabilitated by the church. So they don't really, if somebody by chance, through maybe a lot of devotion, whether it is devotion to Jesus or devotion to Krishna, Krishna says it reaches him, it reaches the one, there's only one, whatever, there's no name basically. So even a Christian can reach it if he's very pure, very devoted. But if he says it in the church, then he risks even maybe to be killed. Because it is a sin to say, if he says it aloud. In Islam, it's the same thing. There was this Sufi who was killed for saying, I'm not sure now, Analhaq or something. I mean, I am that. And when a Christian says, I am one with God, that is forbidden, because this is allowed only to Jesus, because Jesus is said to be the only son of the great God. And we Christians are adopted children, in the sense that we believe that Jesus has come down. We in the Creed of Nicaea, we repeat it, that Lord Jesus, he has come down on earth. I don't know in English how you say it. And he has saved us. So, but we have to believe in Jesus. Otherwise, we are not saved. And if Hindus do not believe that Jesus is the savior of everybody, then sorry, they will go to hell. So, I mean, this is it is basically ridiculous, no? And Muslims say the same thing. If you are not Muslim, if you do not repeat this kalama, or the name, and then you will be in hellfire for all eternity. So this is Hindus should. In India, there were these very profound debates on what is truth. And now, where are these debates? We are not even debating whether Ramanuja or Madhava or Adi Shankara or Kashmir Shaivism. We do not even debate as this. We just say this is there, this is there. But we should also now include, and they invite to a really genuine interface dialogue, not this dialogue where everybody says, oh, I have benefited from my religion, and Hindus just say, yes, very, very good for you. But they turn around and then in the next day again, they malign Hindus. This constant vilification of, because Hindus are, according to both those religions, are idol worshippers. They worship false gods. And this is in the catalogue of the 10 sins in Christianity. This is the first sin. You must not worship false gods, other gods beside me. And in the Quran is also the shirk. It is the most important, the greatest sin. That's why Hindus are basically, when the invaders came, we would not have, while Christians get the option to be dhimmis, Hindus actually should not even get the option to be dhimmis. But they got the option to be dhimmis only because they were too many. They couldn't kill them. And dhimmi is a terrible state, just even now for the Christians in Muslim countries. But Hindus are, it is so strange. I recently wrote an article and said, media tries to convince a Tiger's claim that a deer is eating them up. And this can never be the case. And the deer is saying just, no, we don't do this. But we have to prove, we have to show them, look at our teeth and look at the teeth of the tiger. Who is eating up whom? And the duty of Christianity and Islam is to eat us up, to finish us, because we are an offense in the eyes of the great God, according to them, according to their belief. Now, I want to say one thing. When I say this, this is the mindset of a good Christian, of a good Muslim, of a believer. Luckily, many, especially in the West, are not anymore such strong believers. Like when I was in Germany once, I asked people, do you believe Hindus go to hell? I live in India. Do you believe? Nobody said yes. In India, they keep still saying yes. The problem is that Indian Christians are more brainwashed even than we are, because they have to guard them against falling back into their old tradition, which they see all around them and which is very joyful. But they are told, look, that is false, and if you believe this, you will go to hell. So there is this, it must be a terrible, terrible state of mind also. And another point is, now suddenly they have only one life. And one life, after one life, eternal hell. This is terrifying. I think sometimes maybe in Europe, there's now so much Alzheimer and mental dementia, because it's when in old people, it's getting too terrible when you know now it's how many years do I have left when I'm 80 or so, and then what will happen? How did I live my life? Will I make it? Nowadays in the West, the church does not threaten so much with hell. In my childhood, it still happened. But when I was in 2018 in a mass, when my mother had passed away, and I was in Germany, and there the priest he would still stress very strongly, everyone will be judged. Everyone will be judged. You cannot escape the judgment. And the judgment, of course, is, have you been a good believer? That is the most important thing. I mean, in Islam also, in 61, 11, 10, 11, it says, no, I will tell you two things which you have to, if you want to be a good Muslim, it is you have to believe in Allah and His Prophet, and you have to do jihad. So this is set. Now in India, that is about dharmic life. You don't have it in the West. We have, if you are still Christian, you have only the goal. Okay, after death, I want to go to heaven, paradise, heaven. In Hindu Dharma, it is about making this life beautiful and making evolving your getting closer to what you truly are, getting lifting those wheels which hide the Atman in all of us. So this is, I mean, it is so comforting to be a Hindu. So like when I filled out a form recently, and I went to one of those cyber cafes, and then he said, religion Christian? I said, no, Hindu. Oh, Hindu. So, and I was recently in a taxi, and he had a picture of Jesus. So I asked him, did you convert? He said, yes. And they convert because they get money. They really are lured to, and these missionaries are very nice and very jovial and very, but the price is very high, because they have to degrade, they have to demean what they held dear and what their friends held dear. And then they even should believe that their friends will go now to hell. So I told this taxi driver, you became Christian from Hindu, and I became Hindu from Christian. So he said, oh, really? Why? So I explained a little, and then I told him also, please, if those padres, those priests, tell you that Hindus are bad, that Hinduism is very bad, don't believe it. And he was quite, he was quite good, and he was saying, no, I don't believe everything what they say. But when his children and their children, when they still stay Christians, the padres, the priests will make sure that they get indoctrinated very strongly. But I also have hope in the sense that, like in Europe, that people start reflecting and think maybe not everything is true, at least.
It is the niceness, it is the good part of the Sanatan Dharma culture that we are taught not to criticize anyone else. So the real hate starts from Abrahamic faith. When when it all becomes a faith-based things. Even some Hindu groups also, within the Hindu groups also, there are some groups who will say Shiva bhaktas are inferior or Vishnu bhaktas are inferior or Shakti worshippers are inferior. Within the Hindu faith also, that kind of preaching goes on, and that comparison is made. But in the case of Abrahamic faith, particularly including Judaism, we if we skip Judaism, there is a concept of Gentile, pure Israeli souls and non-Israeli souls. They believe that Jewish souls are separate or different than the non-Jewish souls. That's where it started.
Yeah, chosen people.
Yes, chosen people. And kufra word is in Old Testament, and in Islam there is nothing new. They copied completely from Old Testament. There is nothing new. Is the Moses stories there? All the stories of Old Testament are in Quran right now. So and so there's a constant fight between world's three religions. Judaism is claiming to be the original source, and Christianity came to purify Judaism. Old New Testament was modification on Old Testament, and Quran came to purify both of them. And they went to it, and each one of them have their own gods. There is no god, there is no matching between the three faiths. That god, the god is one principle, comes from Sanatan Dharma, because Isha Vasyam Idam Sarva, that god is one
Yeah,
principle, doesn't come from any other religious source, is only in
they
Sanatan
copied.
Dharma.
They copied it
They
and
copied it.
distorted it very badly.
Correct, correct.
It is a oneness. They distorted into a personal, very biased, basically tyrant. No?
Yeah.
But I wanted to add something when you say it's true. The three Abrahamic religion were fighting, but now, I think in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, they have made this complex now, and they want to make a religion home of Abrahamia or something. That synagogue is there, the church is there, and the mosque is there, and the Pope is on board, and some, I think, from Al Azhar in Cairo is on board, and some mullahs are not on board, and I feel maybe even there are powers in the world who want to control us, who want to control the human being, and it's much better to control them via Abrahamic faith than with Hindu Dharma, because Hindu Dharma, it values a person, it values the
Freedom.
individual, because Atma is in him, and it gives him the responsibility to take charge of his life, and to follow Dharma and to do karma properly, according to Dharma doing karma. So this is, and they vilify it now so badly because I really feel they want to finish it off.
See most of the Hindus and Indians and global community, which is open-minded, they do not understand, or some of them they understand very well, like me or better than me, that science, all these religions, Abrahamic faith, they hate science in the design itself, because science opens up a person. It questions everything. It's the nature of the scientific discovery to question everything. So science is always kept outside. And so when the president of the United States says that we believe in science, that is not very good sound to the churchgoers, because it directly attacks them. What do you have to say on that?
Oh, I feel that science has basically been degraded also a little bit. It's not anymore a very genuine search for truth, because there's this connection with industry, and it is, yeah. I mean, the universities, how to say? Yeah, I saw recently a talk show on German, in German, and there was this lady, and she very much rued the academization of society, that everybody goes to university now, everybody wants a degree, but then you don't get jobs, and then you go into media, and you go into advertisement, and you become a consultant, and you open some NGO. And especially those NGOs are not always very helpful, not necessary also. And yeah, science, I don't, the religions, I mean, the best science, I wrote an article, Religion and Science, Science and Religion. And I argued that, of course, the belief religion, they are very much below science. But above science is even Hindu Dharma, because it contains also this metaphysics and because physics, they have come to the conclusion now is that all is energy. Okay, wonderful. But they have not yet come to this conclusion that this energy is consciousness, is conscious, is alive. I find it always a little bit funny when they say, oh, we want to find out whether there's life somewhere in the universe. And basically, it's everywhere. No? So in this way, science in the West is a little bit handicapped. It has a blind spot because it does not want to acknowledge the Indian wisdom. And maybe they are afraid that through the back door, God comes in again. If they, because most scientists are atheists, probably. So in this way, that they do not look in this direction, and this would help them. The theoretical physicists, it would really help them, no? Because so far the Indian rishis were never wrong. Whatever they said was true.
In Vedic wisdom, intelligence, buddhi, is given a lot of importance. Krishna tells Uddhav, and many places is mentioned in Bhagavad Puran and other places, where simply by observation, any human being can understand that how a seed becomes a tree and then it gives fruits, how the millions of tons of water fly in the sky. These are miracles, natural miracles, which no human can ever replicate. Not possible. God forbid. Devta, we have to say that if Americans have a patent on clouds, it will be the worst thing happen to the whole world, because then they will start charging money for that. But this is given to the human beings for free. These are the biggest miracles of world. Now, when it comes to science, recently the scientists, now the word atheism, atheist, it's again a Christian word. It's a Abrahamic word. In Sanatana Dharma, the word is na-astik, Nastik. And Nastik doesn't mean atheistic. Nastik means a, practically a crazy man who doesn't believe in any existence. Astik and Nastik. So it is doesn't mean atheism, because no one can be free of, if you can walk, if you have the faith that you can walk, that means you are an astic. A very simple meaning, that you have a faith in existence. So the atheist word is to condemn other people and to punish them. And we all know what happened in crusades. We all know what happened in jihads against Persia, because that's where the maximum killing happened of Zoroastrians and by the Muslims when they attacked them from Arab. So and I'm talking about a huge area where Iran, and we are talking about Iran and Armenia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan. All these areas were like completely routed by. They were all Zoroastrian territories before. So the point is the atheist is again an Abrahamic word. In Sanatana Dharma, even that is not there. So the value of the human life is much higher in Sanatana Dharma. Now, my question to you is, when we use these Abrahamic terms and without translating them into Sanskrit, like religion becomes dharma. No, religion is not dharma. Dharma is all about independence, and religion is all about control. So, so how do you answer these things? Because most of the Hindus or people who want to accept Sanatan Dharma don't understand the meaning of it.
Yeah, that is very difficult actually, because we have so much accepted the Western world view and the Western terminology, and we are even talking in English. I really wish that in India, education would go back to native languages and Sanskrit. Like when I was in school in Germany, my first foreign language was Latin, German, and then Latin, and then only English. And one can get fluent in English also if it's still needed in 20 years, I don't know. So this vocabulary is difficult. I don't know how to solve this.
You know, one very leading thinker says that English is a skill. So we are using English to communicate Sanatan Dharma values to the people who speak English. Now, it is a very common, we cannot say that we won't speak English, but yes, you're right. Our mindset should think in Sanskrit and our word should come out in English. Then the English also becomes Sanskritized in many ways. You know? So it
Mm.
ultimately we can communicate what is in our mind, not language can be any language it can be. So the point is here is, yes, you're absolutely right. The correct version of history needs to be taught. The second point is that when we talk about Abrahamic faith, we really need to understand the difference. In Vedic world, there is no permanent hell, no permanent heaven. Both are not permanent. A Brahma Bhavana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. From Brahma Lok to Mrityu Lok, people keep coming back again and again. So heaven is not a permanent destination, and hell is also not permanent destination. Like in any common law across the world, not everybody is put in the jails. The people who commit crimes are put in jail, and again brings to an important point of karma, because karma, people are very much scared of the karma philosophy, and the church usually talks about the only thing whenever they meet a Hindu or see a Hindu. Sorry, there is incense burning here. So when they see a Hindu, they ask him, do you have a caste system? That's an attack. That's not a clarification. What do you have to say on that?
Uh, it is it was, I think, one of the strategies of Christianity to put Hindu Dharma down. I think when the British came, they realized that it is so. Actually, some realized that it is very superior to what they had in the West, and they couldn't accept this, and they had to find something. And look, in the West, there was this, what is it called in English? Serf, I think. We have in Germany, we have a term Leibeigene, which means the owner of one's body in the feudal times, not so long ago, that the landowner would own the workers. So nobody speaks about this. And I feel this caste system, it is just so insidious that they just throw it at you. I mean, there's you cannot even explain it. I remember I was in Germany and invited somewhere, and then one woman next to me, she said, "Oh, I could never live in India when they have these castes." What do you say then? It's so terrible, because every child in school learns about the caste. But I really feel Hindus should not be apologetic about it. They should not become defensive. Every society has its class, caste system, whatever you call it. And I don't think there's any other countries where the lower strata of society has got so much advantage. So much advantage that people who are placed higher, basically according to caste system. I mean, when you say Varna, or then they even protest and go on the street and want to get lower because they get so many advantages. So, and we had a president, we had chief ministers, we have the top justice. It doesn't happen in other countries. I mean, in Germany we have in Bavaria we would say it's not nice, but we would say dumme Bauern, also stupid farmers. I mean, just to not so. In every society, you like farmers are very important and very, but there's a kind of, it was like they don't know much. They are just so this is and I know also, for example, during my studies, a friend of mine, she was a daughter of a judge, and she wanted to marry a carpenter, and her parents were not at all pleased. And so this happens everywhere. But only India is singled out. Now also, look, when now this sunset happened in Hardwa, when people said we have to get arms, we should be prepared. And this now, I just heard that somebody has been arrested. But look at what during the protests of in Delhi last February a year ago, what they were saying, when we as a majority, we kill Hindus one by one. And no woman was arrested. And today I read that one of the Mulanas, he said, we will chase the Hindus out from India. I mean, this attitude, and Hindus are put into a kind of position as we have to defend ourselves, like City is saying, no, we don't eat tigers. Just shows them the foundation, the fundamentals of Hindu Dharma, and then shows them the fundamentals of Christianity and Islam. It's so completely different. And everybody, if he is not completely brainwashed and closed, he must be seeing that it is I keep saying the best option, but it is what we need for humanity to get over all these troubles. I mean, this even like Bhagwan is within. I don't have only one life. Whatever karma I do, I reap the benefit of, or the bad effect of from it. All this makes so much sense, no? And also respect nature. Abrahamics don't respect nature. It's written in Genesis, no? The earth is your subordinate. You can use it, no? And I think we in the West, we have done so much harm in killing non-stop animals, and we don't even think about it. We don't have the right. I am sure. Look, just see, when you see them, if you would go to a slaughterhouse, you would not eat meat anymore. There may be some exceptions, but it's not this billions of animals every year which are killed. And I think we have got a lot of a lot of negative karma in this way, because it's not fair. Because when you have a dog, you know that the dog is alive, as he knows. You don't need a Pavlov to know that he knows when the food is coming. Everybody knows that a dog knows, and cows also. No? So in this way, Hindu Dharma is, for me, it is so much better.
The second very common attack is, see, when you live in the West, I've been facing it. So ever since I came to United States, my guru told me, you have only two purposes. One is that you enjoy. Second is you preach. So I chose the second one, preach. So the day I landed here, and I held the first program on Bhagavad-Gita in my house, the first day, first evening. And I never told this to anyone. First time I'm sharing with you. And believe me, And what I did was I had my birthday, I organized my birthday party. And in that, spoke on Bhagavad Gita a little bit. That if you want to celebrate my birthday, respect Bhagavad Gita. It is more than 2 decades now. All those people are on the show right now. They're hosting the show. And many of them have become big professionals in their own profession. And they thank me. And most of them are, all of them are not Indians. Okay. They're not born in India. But all of them have told me, and all are vegans now, vegetarians or vegans. And they told me that that day you spoke on Bhagavad Gita on your birthday has given us a new birth. And very simple things I spoke from Bhagavad Gita about karma, being a responsible citizen to yourself. You don't have to show anyone else, because karma brings self discipline. Not It's not for others. When you tell others something, three fingers point at you and one to God. So you're blaming somebody, or so it when you tell somebody three times, you are responsible, not them. So I was telling them, and until date that has changed. The second most common attack, which I have been facing from the very first day I landed, that in your religion, according to them, Hindu is not a religion, Hindu is something imaginary. This is a general American thought process or European thought process, because that's what they're grown with. And for them, the point is that uh, in your religion, God allows you to become a dog. They don't understand anything reincarnation, because reincarnation is a big threat to the church or and all the Abrahamic faith. They talk about reincarnation. Jesus came back, that's reincarnation according to them, but it's a big threat to their existence. What is the threat they feel? I want to hear from you. I know the answer, but I want to hear from you, and the audience wants to hear from you.
Actually, just now a friend came back from Germany, and she told me that now more and more people are quite friendly towards this sort of rebirth, reincarnation. So then I said, but that means Christianity collapses, because it is so much based on this one: we start and then we have this life. This life is being judged, and then we go to heaven or hell. So if we come back, then we can even try out other things. And we are not bound anymore. We are more free, I think. So I don't think the church had a reason why they banned the belief in rebirth. It was, I think, in 300, after 300 in a council of Constantinople, or 500 in the council of Constantinople, when the bishop decided that the belief in rebirth is wrong. You must not do it. And Islam took it up, and it comes very convenient for people who want to control people, who want to control again, because then you say, oh my God, I have only this one life. I think I suggested even we should make some documentaries, even on TV. There are so many documentaries on rebirth, which are quite startling, and there's no other explanation except that this child, which remembers something, being somebody else from earlier, and this person is actually found. I mean, who died before his birth, and his relatives confirm everything what the child says. And there are so many such cases. I think in Virginia University there were over 3,000. Ian Stevenson was a great researcher, and he worked together with Professor N.K. Chatta at Delhi University, and I interviewed him once. And it was so, he gave me half an hour and we talked for 2 hours. It was very, very fascinating. It is these, there are so many stories, even in America, boy who was a fighter pilot. It's on the net. So if those documentaries would come more into mainstream, more people would know about it. It makes so much sense that, of course, we are not here for the first time. Why is, for example, Mozart plays piano at the age of 5? Or in India, there are so many prodigies, child prodigies who are so starting so early. There must be something earlier. So I think many Christians and Muslims could understand this. And if they understand this, that maybe we don't have only one birth, and maybe I don't go to eternal hell or heaven after this death. That would be such a relief for them. And it would also very much weaken those religions. I feel it is rebirth. I felt since long it is one of the issues we should stress. We should also stress the issue that this one energy, which science says is truth, this energy is natural in us, and this energy is Brahman, what the Vedas call Brahman. I am Atma Brahma. This Atma in me, which is called of individual Atma, but it is ultimately only the one Brahman. So these two things, from the science aspect, it makes sense, and rebirth makes sense also. And this would really help Hindus to be more forthright, more strong in asserting their things. Like I keep saying, no, Muslims, they keep running to the United Nations making complaints about Islamophobia. Why do not we complain about it? May not do much, but we cannot allow to be demeaned openly. The church in India, they put the loudspeakers outwards when they call the devas demons, just so that the neighborhood can hear it. We Hindus are so careful not to step on others' toes, and they trample on our feet. No? They are not at all concerned about what means they want to hurt us.
So true, because again, they don't believe in karma, and it is also a ploy by the Vatican. We all know that what happened to colonies in South America. They wiped out the entire native cultures. And the world global fight, my last book was on Gold, Glory, and God, A Curse on the Natives. And that was released in October last year. And in that book, I captured what happened to the natives. So natives versus non-natives. Now, again, comes to the mindset. When a native absorbs the mindset of the Abrahamic faith, he becomes a non-native, even though he is born here, but he's thinking like the colonizer. He has the mindset of the colonizer, and that is also called inculturation in the church. And that's how they take the values of the natives and then convert them, like what happened in Mexico. They broke their old deities of Lady of Guadalupe. They broke it, powdered it, put it in the walls of the church. So the local Mexicans till date go to the church just to worship their old original deity, not to the Mother Mary. They go for that. And so they absorb their old culture, and so this is what they do in India. Like St. Thomas history, I researched it, I documented it in my book, that he never came to India before 16th or 17th century. And that too, it was built on top of a temple in Kerala, in Tamil Nadu or Kerala. So the point is, this is the way colonizers work. Colonization was done to spread Christianity. And same thing Islam did, which was colonized land to spread Islam. And if we do not understand the political side of it, we will keep on confusing them with dharma. Dharma has no connection with any of these religions. This will be, would you have to comment on that, and then we'll stop this discussion? We can go on hours and hours on this. You and I know.
Yeah.
Please reply to this.
No, I just think how the West sees a human being and how India sees a human being is so different. I just read recently a quote by Henry Ford. I don't know, I did not check it, but it was saying, "What I need is two hands," but unfortunately, there's a person attached to it. So a human being is only good as long as it is useful for economy or for to be exploited maybe also. But also Camus, he was saying hell is other people. So this attitude is very different from India, where you do namaste, saying, I greet Atma in you, because Atma is in everyone. So basically, you respect everyone, which does not mean you are foolish and let everybody in your house if he wants to kill you.
Thank you so much, Maria Wirth. I could go on and on and on talking with you because you really understand the Western culture and the psyche. And you're living in India, so you understand Indian culture and psyche also. And plus, for the viewers, I must tell you, she is reading Bhagavad Puran nowadays. And most of you are
Yeah.
trying to read the Western authors. It's so ironical. Believe me, I have never read any Western author. Never. My only authors that I read is Vyasdev and people who are connected to Vyasdev, and Valmiki and people who are connected to Valmiki's thought process. And one more thing, I have never quoted a Western author in USA till date. There was never a need. I've never quoted even, when I see Indian authors quoting Western authors, that defeats the whole purpose of Sanatana Dharma. When we have Narad Muni, when we have Vyasdev, we have Sutiksha Rishi, Shudbringa Rishi, Markandeya Rishi, Pulastya Rishi, why there is a need to quote any Western author? I have no idea. When I read their books, they can be New York bestsellers. Doesn't mean anything to it. It's so generic information in their books that you can't learn anything from it. And it's all about their story, my story. I'm not interested in your life, whatever you have done. The authors I'm talking about. I'm interested in learning from it. What can I learn? And believe me, in front of any book on Vedas, the Western authors are like small insects or just one alphabet, maybe. So, so thank you so much for joining, Maria Wirth. And I encourage Indian viewers and Western viewers to read Bhagavad Gita, to read Ramayana, Valmiki, if you want to learn something new. If you don't want to learn something new, keep on reading the Western authors, which is just topical and only tactical. No strategic over there. Just today's situation. And believe me, if you read today's situation, that's Kali Yuga going on, you'll go more crazy and more worried about the world. So for the Indian viewers, I'll say get deep into Bhagavad Puran, Veda, Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and that's where the strength comes from. And even
Also
any
do sadhanas, and also to practice sadhana, no? Not
practice,
only
yeah.
reading. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you don't read Bhagavad Gita by reading the shloka. You read Bhagavad Gita by chanting Hari name and some mantra japa. So thank you so much. And Maria Wirth, always a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank
And
you
we
so
will like,
much for calling.
and I want to, we'll host another show and continue this discussion further. Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Dhanyavad. Namaste.